Good morning, YouTube. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. It's your boy JD Trades, and I'm bringing you another market outlook. As I always do, I'm going to start things off by looking at the economic calendar. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Turn on that post notification button to get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you guys. So, we do have a bit of a blockbuster week, just like last week. We've got a lot of high probable setups that are potentially forming for the start of this week. So I'm very, very, very excited for the potential moves. All right, so today, Monday, 10th of June, the only high impact news we've got is the GDP data that came out for the yen, okay, early doors this morning. So that's already passed. We do have some holidays for Hong Kong, China, and Australia. Australia's king's birthday today. That's interesting. So Tuesday we have average earnings index for the pound coming in early morning. Wednesday we've got GDP coming out for the pound, manufacturing PMI, manufacturing production month on month. We've also got monthly GDP, 3 monthly change. For April, we've got German CPI all coming in early doors. Next up, we've got core CPI for the dollar, CPI data month on month, CPI data year on year for the dollar. We've also got crude oil inventories, FOMC economic projections, FOMC statement, the Fed interest rate, and the FOMC press conference. Guys, Wednesday is looking long. Okay, if you're not from the UK, long means it's just looking like a long day. Okay, it's pretty self-explanatory, but Wednesday is looking long. I can't lie. Thursday we've got initial jobless claims and PPI for the dollar once again. Last but not least, Friday we've got Bank of Japan's interest rate decision with the Federal Monetary Policy report coming in a little bit later on in that day. So, looking at this from an economic calendar perspective, it looks like the week is truly going to start around Tuesday slash Wednesday. Okay, well, definitely Wednesday, but let's just say Tuesday we may potentially get, the picture start to form and look a little bit better. So, as we always do, we're going to start things off with the DXY. Okay, we're going to look at the Mac Daddy, the dollar index. So, at the moment, it is a new week, so we're going to start things off by looking at the weekly candle. All right, so what's happened last week? Okay, last week's picture was very, very interesting to say the least. Okay, it was a very good weekly picture. Now, as you can see there, we did take out Monday's 13th of May's weekly low. Okay, not only did we take that out, we also took out last week's low or 2 weeks ago's low. Okay, so the liquidity to the downside has definitely been grabbed. Okay, we just about tapped the top of this weekly imbalance, just about. Okay, now if we take a look at structure from the weekly perspective, okay, structure is overall bullish. From looking at it from a swing perspective, it is bullish, guys. Okay, now with us taking out this lower high here, okay, I am anticipating the weekly picture potentially taking out this high and potentially taking out the next high above. Okay, when we turn our attention over to the daily, now with today, okay, if today closes where we sit around right now, okay, if we close above this previous lower high, then we would have broken structure to the upside on the daily and also on the 4 hour picture as well. Okay, so how today closes is going to be very interesting because what this is setting up is the framework for the rest of the week. Okay, now I'm going to use this imbalance area here as a potential retest. Okay, I'm going to use it as a retest. Okay, we may get something sort of forming inside of here for us to then go long. Okay, our first initial targets are going to be this weekly candles high or Thursday 9th of March's daily high before we can even think about taking out these other areas sitting above. Okay, so if we turn our attention over to the 4 hour picture, there is also another area there. As you can see, this 4 hour imbalance does line up with that daily area that I just showed you guys not too long ago. Okay, so from this low point here to this high point, I am expecting a retracement of some sort from last week's price action where we just, was a strong and kept holding high and kept holding high. Okay, so that is my take for this week and what I expect to see. I expect to see a pullback on the dollar and then a continuation to the upside. Okay, we need to pay attention to the price action that we're currently getting. As you can see, we do have a lot of high impact news that will definitely affect markets. Next is EU. Okay, so EU's done something very interesting. Okay, it's actually nothing too crazy, but something to, of course, pay attention to is the fact that we did take out this high here on the weekly. It might be easier if I use another Euro USD chart. Euro USD. What's that? FXCM. Let me go on forex.com. Okay, cool. That's much better. Okay. So last week's candle, okay, what did we do? Not only did we take out all of these highs, okay, we've actually cleared out the liquidity resting above, okay, and we've had a very expansive move to the downside. We've had these weekly engulfing, or this weekly engulfing candle engulf 2 weeks, okay, if you negate the rest of this wick down here. Okay, now on the daily time frame, I am going to be looking for a slight pullback and a continuation. Okay, very similar picture to the dollar. We do have a slight bit of imbalance sitting inside of this little area here that I'm going to monitor and anticipate for some potential tests. But the whole premise and the whole idea is just the inverse picture of the DXY. Okay, if we can see something like that form, I believe that is going to be the play for the rest of this week. I think it's going to be quite a good move because this expansion move to the downside, even if we do get a 50% retracement into the expansion, okay, from where we currently are sitting, we never know. The rest of the day it can stretch down a lot lower, okay, but that's about 80 pips, okay, so far from around halfway of last week Friday's expansive move to the downside. That's about 80 pips, okay. You can catch 80 pips. You can definitely catch those 80 pips. Okay, let alone it, continue to make a new lower low. There's definitely potential in this range for some pretty sizable moves. Okay, so with that being said, that's what to look out for in terms of Euro USD. Next up is going to be GU. Okay, GU, very similar picture as well for cable. Okay, the pound dollar. Okay, I'm going to look for a retracement back up into the imbalance. Okay, we may potentially test other previous areas. Okay, I'm not too sure why TradingView is giving me funny charts. GBP USD. Okay, let's take a look at forex.com. All right, cool. So if we can get a pullback up, okay, we may potentially close off the whole imbalance on GU. We can get an expansive move to the downside. Okay, I may potentially focus a bit more on GU this week, just due to the fact that I believe GU's got more potential to move rather than the euro at the moment. Okay, I'll have to look at euro pound a little bit later on. And the reason why I say this is because look, we still have a lot of lows, a lot of liquidity to the downside, especially on the 4 hour, on the daily, that GU is yet to take out. Okay, so there's definitely more potential for easier targets with larger imbalances sitting down below, which is going to be a lot easier for price to get to. Last but not least is going to be on the dollar. So last week, if you haven't watched my live streams, I have a lot of live streams up on the channel where you see me analyze these markets live and I give you my perspectives of what I believe is going to happen. Okay, and so far so good in terms of everything that I mentioned for the dollar. Okay, sorry, not for the dollar, for gold. So I mentioned to you guys that look, we are in an era for a buy. Okay, when we look at the daily picture, we can definitely push up. Okay, but because the daily structure has changed from being bullish over here to now being bearish, even though we get a buy, this buy may only potentially, it may not give us a new high. It may fail inside of this imbalance area here. So last week Friday we got that final wick up into that daily imbalance and we got that slap down. Okay, even though the weekly picture was still bullish, there was still potential for us to go bearish and actually break the lows. Okay, so now the picture is also bearish on most of the majors, if not all of them, due to last week's Friday's price action. Okay, the dollar strength was just insane. Okay, now for gold, I don't particularly have a high probable ideal setup. They all pretty much, most of the majors, they all pretty much have a very similar setup in terms of looking for a retracement to then catch a continuation, okay, to the downside. So looking for breaks of structure, looking for structure shifts on the lower time frame, looking for point of interest, POIs, where we can potentially look for a trade setup. So I'm going to be looking at this swing for the rest of this week in terms of gold. I'm going to look for anything above 50% retracement here. Okay, if we can get into more discounted, or sorry, premium prices for a short, then that's great. But if we don't, I'm just going to monitor for the time being. Okay, so last but not least, let's talk about Bitcoin. Okay, BTC USD in terms of price action that we've been getting for Bitcoin so far. Okay, Bitcoin is very close to all-time highs, especially when we look at things from the daily perspective. Okay, we did react out of the area that I told you guys, I believe it was 3 weeks ago now. Okay, to watch out for this daily area. It is a good area to get some longs from. We have in fact taken out the most recent high over here, so we are having a little bit of a pullback now, depending on this week's price action and how the dollar behaves, etc. If there's any other crypto news or crypto fundamentals that come out, this may potentially push BTC up higher. But I'm a bit apprehensive because even though price is where it is, there's still potential for lower prices for Bitcoin if it is to rally. Okay, if we do want to get one more sweep down below, then I'm going to be looking for the high of this candle, which is 63.75. Okay, that's a pretty decent area to swipe out all of these lows. Okay, and then find a more optimal entry to go long. All right, guys, that's it for me. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Turn on that post notifications to get notified whenever I do post a new video. If you're not inside of my free Telegram group chat where I do post a lot of content in terms of trade setups, trade ideas, okay, chart analysis, and general information about the market, make sure to join in the description. The link to join is in the description box down below. And with that being said, always remember theory behind the practice. I'll see you guys this week for live stream. Peace.